evening. Keep it up the cash. Gary B, the casual comic guy here, and joining me in the co-hosting seat, as always, most every Tuesday, we have Rob with the fattest stacks of comics in the land. How you doing, Rob?
Dancing away.
And my other Tuesday regular, we have Steve the Voice White. How you doing, Steve?
Good day, eh? You guys should buy this. It's great.
I know I'm working on another promo for it right now. I have people sending me quotes for it.
Excellent.
So, I can't wait to put it together. And as a special guest host tonight, to keep our guest in line, we have none other than Mag Musings, Bill himself. How you doing, Bill?
He's our Bub. Well, Bub wouldn't do the show without me. I appreciate that, Bub.
Now I don't want to do the show with you.
Nobody keeps Bubs in line.
Right. And of course, the man of the hour, Bub himself. How you doing tonight, sir?
Doing quite well. Thank you all for having me. I have to say, after watching that intro, of course, I had to watch my prior appearance. I had to replay my prior appearance on this show. I don't know what, it's been a couple of years ago now. And rewatching it and then watching this intro here, it's clear that your production value has skyrocketed. It's really risen from the last time I was on here. Unfortunately, the co-host selection has lowered. But yeah, of course.
You know, it's tough finding people for jobs these days, Bub. What can I tell you?
The market for what you're paying, you're lucky they even showed up. Yeah,
right.
You got this guy over on Fiverr, didn't you? Need co-host 24-hour turnaround.
They let him out of the home for
my books.
It beats finding your guests on Grindr.
True.
Does it? I mean, yeah, it probably does.
But all right, as we always do on this show, Bob, give the quick 2 minutes who you are, what your channel's about. We'll say hi to the audience, and then we'll come back to you for your first book, sir.
All right, I'm Bub of Bubs World. I also go by Bubs Comics, so that's kind of like the name of my general haul show. So Bubs World, Bubs Comics. I'm Bub. Can you imagine that? And I've been around YouTube for long enough to see most of the people on here start up, and I'll probably be here when they all stop. So that's there goes one. Yep, we lost one already. So yeah, but good stuff. Big fan. I do have a copy of the Need book by Gary that Gary put out. I bought it directly on Amazon. I didn't want any special treatment or discount, so I bought it directly on Amazon. And I've really enjoyed the first chapter. I've read it multiple times. That's as far as I ever get. But it's a very, very exciting book. I encourage you all to read it. I collect a little bit of everything, but a lot of sci-fi, good girl art, and golden age and keys. So modern and but more of the solid keys, not speculatory keys, but the old blue chips, as they say, if you can get a hold of them.
But you got some pretty good honey holes, because I see you pull some good books in that you got on the cheap, well, like for what they should be here and there.
Yeah, I get lucky and I negotiate a lot and I do everything I can. Once I get a good honey hole, the trick is to get stuck in it, because you don't really want. Are you okay, Bill? You don't really want
Bubsy the Pooh, they call him.
I'm just saying, it's honey holes go dry, right? So you got to go there. You got to make sure that you keep them.
I think he's misbehaving at this point.
Well lubricated.
I don't understand what you're talking about. All I'm saying is build good relationships, and it'll help grow your collection at an affordable way. That's all I'm trying to say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, let's go say hi to the audience real quick. We have our Hulk Collector Kevin coming in, a great channel supporter. How you doing, Kevin? Nice to see you, sir. We of course have Las Cruces making fun of me because I was putting the show together on like 3 hours of sleep and half dopey while I was doing it, but I wanted to get Bub the links and stuff. So yeah, I was having a good time trying to stay awake and do that. I appreciate it. For those of you who don't know, I don't get a lot of sleep. We have Anacrotic Comics in here. Good evening, Joe. Nice to see you, sir. We have Brad Wellbore. Good to see you. Chuck Hensey. Good to see you, sir. Mr. DVH, Dr. Von Hoots. Nice to see you, buddy. Thank you for stopping in.
Hoot, hoot, hoot.
Big O. Good evening. Nice to see you.
What's going on, Paul?
And Shop for Comics. Good evening, sir. Nice to see you.
What's going on?
Carlito Classico. Thank you for coming in. The Jackson Boy Kirk himself. All right. Good to see you, Jackson. I was just hoping you were well backstage. Nice to see you, buddy.
Reconnected to the world.
Brian LCS. Good afternoon. Good evening, sir. Nice to see you. Phil's Treehouse. How you doing, sir? Thank you for stopping by. We keep going here. And one of my all-time favorite people, Jerry the Jitterbug. Nice to see you, buddy.
What's going on, Jerry?
Hope you had a great vacation. From the pictures, I'm guessing you had an awesome one. And so as I'll do, as people come in, I'll just give them a tip of the hat, and we'll keep going. And as people are getting their notifications, but we will
You're not going to give them a full hello when they come in?
No, they just get a.
If you're not here right at the start, you don't get the full hello. You got to
Gary's just going to
get the tip.
Gary's just going to give you the tip. Just a tip. Sorry, you can't get the full Monty there.
Kind of like you in prison, Bob. Yeah.
Absolutely. Anything more, and it costs me more cigarettes than I have to spare. So
don't drop
that's how it goes. Yeah.
This is already one of my favorite episodes.
Spiraling out of control early.
Wake up, Rob. Wake up.
Right. Oh, good. All right, Bub. Let's get to you, man. Let's
get you a hat, Gary. We need to get you a hat. A nice bowler or something.
I just shaved it before the episode.
Oh, a hat.
You did good.
I thought you were saying you wanted to get Gary hot.
Because I always do the tip of the hat like this. Some people thought I was saluting, but you only salute with your right
because
hand, not your left.
You don't have a hat on.
No, I'm not being disrespectful.
Because you grab the brim to tip your hat. You wouldn't two-finger it.
That's you raise it. Don't you raise it? Version of it, Rob.
You tip the hat like that.
That's the Scouts, right?
I guess it should be this. It should really be this.
You're tipping your hat. You're tipping.
Yeah, but you know,
if we see Gary doing this, we know what he means.
Yeah, it's not this. It's not that, right?
It could be a top hat. You could be doing that.
Like that. All right.
Trying to help. Okay. This has been a fascinating 15 minutes.
The roast of the host.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
So, Bubs, what's your favorite kind of hat?
Bowler hat.
Beaver pelt?
Bowler hat, because they wear them out, but then they never wear them while bowling, which I find odd.
That's true.
Wrong bowling.
Right.
Oh, wait. Sorry.
Wait, Bay. About that first comic, Bub.
Oh yeah. You guys want to see any comics?
Why not start that up? Let's do it.
All right. So, of course, I had to challenge myself because the world challenges me enough, but I need to go a little bit further. I'm a very challenged individual. So here I've decided to go. Everybody knows me. If they don't know me, that's fine. But those who know me most for collecting probably keys, good girl art, and some sci-fi stuff. The categories by which I generally collect. But most people don't recognize me as a run collector. And so I thought today I would share a few books from the runs I've finished and the runs that I'm working on. So if all of you will indulge me, I'm going to go ahead through my runs. Is that all right?
Run away.
That's Mr. Taco Bell, carry away, please.
You rent Taco Bell. All right. Here you go. So
it was worse, though.
Here's an early run. So this is a run that I've already collected. It's complete, and I don't have any of them slabs. So generally my runs, I will keep them raw. And then if it's a slab, it's because it's a key and there's a reprint or it's a variant of some sort. So I try to keep all my runs readable. So here is Spiderwoman #1.
Nice. Yes. There we go.
Beautiful.
One of the earliest runs I completed. And Spiderwoman is one of those characters where every time I see her, she's very rarely drawn poorly.
Right.
So even the worst of artists can take a hack at her and can do a decent job. And I think it's because her face is so obscured often. So, and this run is not the best. So if any of you have ever collected
but it's very up and down because they kept changing creative teams.
Yeah.
Yes, and her power set varies wildly through the run. I mean, it gets really tough. If you skip several issues and pick up a book, you could easily be lost. And then every now and then you'll pick up the very next issue and still be lost. So it's just the way it is. But there you have
I did love that it was darker. Like that run has a lot of darkness in it, which I really liked. A lot of horror elements, like needle, stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's got the Ashanti and all the it's some classic Bronze Age Marvel type horror. You know, it really does fit in that genre. And I'm proud to say that I did collect this run. There's the first run, folks.
Oh,
Excellent.
Yeah, I've had that run complete for a lot of years myself, and I don't know, it's just a fun run.
It is a fun run, and I like short runs. So I think that run's just 50 issues.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, I don't really care for them to get into the triple digits if I can afford it, because I like well,
I 51 if you count the Marvel Spotlight 32 with it.
Yeah. Well, yes. I mean, if you count appearances, yeah. So it gets a little more than that. But
do you remember when you finished it?
When I finished the runs?
Yeah, when you completed the run.
I do not remember. Do you remember?
I do. I remember. I was bouncing.
Oh, maybe you're a super fan.
Someday, you're going to finish that run. Yeah.
All right. Put a link to the video in which I showed the last book in which I completed the run. But it's been several years. Several years.
Yeah.
All right. Another run I completed some time ago is the Jim Balent run of Catwoman.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's a great
So you'll see that this is something of a modified run because I do not collect the issues past Jim Balent's writing and cover and interior art. So this is one of those all-in-one books. And I got to tell you,
Jim Balent had the best Catwoman costume.
You do?
I hate that costume.
He drew her better than anyone.
Yeah. So this is my favorite Catwoman costume, but only because of the way that he drew it.
Yeah.
It's kind of silly otherwise, but I don't need it to be anything more than what it is. And this is a 3D. This is like a embossed cover. So if you've ever had that happen, but it's a very nice.
Are they all worn that way though, Bub? All the copies?
Well, this one, the bag is kind of depressed against it.
Oh, okay.
As most of my books are depressed.
It's the most asinine costume there is. I mean, that costume was hanging on a hook with nobody in it. It must
well,
be
I'm gonna turn the glare a little bit to catch some of that 3D action.
Yeah,
Isn't
that's
that
one of those
nice?
spray paint costumes. They just spray paint it on.
The curves come alive, Bub.
Yeah, they do.
Yes, they do. Look at that.
Pops right out.
Fantastic stuff. Catwoman, Jim Balent. I actually had the pleasure of speaking, or he reached out to me. So Varangian Vigilante is a super fan of his as well.
Yes.
And he sent Jim a copy of, or a link to one of my videos where I was going on and on about how much I enjoyed this run and collecting it and other of Balent's work. And so Jim Balent reached out to me on Instagram, and for a whole day we were best friends, just back and forth, talking about whatever, having a grand old time and just shooting the crap with Jim Balent. So that will forever be a good memory.
Him and Holly are very approachable. They just responded to the Red Sonja covers I did in a message and talked to me a minute about them. But very approachable creators, very nice people.
Yeah. Well, now that I know that, I feel less special about my story because apparently they'll talk to anybody. But yeah, that's good stuff.
They said it was nice to talk to a step up. So I was like, thank you.
Oh, I'm sure it was. All right. Next up we have, I know everyone's getting bored of these key non-keys. So next up we have a run that I finished a few years back as well. This was one of those that does have a few keys in it that was difficult to get, but thank goodness I'm not trying to complete this run today because it's way more expensive than it was. And we have Werewolf by Night.
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
32.
Such a fantastic book.
2.5.
So now this run is a good story. Like I really enjoy, and it also has some power set changes, and it suffers from that Marvel bronze. We don't know if we want to be a more eclectic book or be an anthology type book, or if we want to tell a real story. So
yeah, and Jack Russell's kind of all over the place in it, and especially once he was living with that guy, and then all the stuff that happened there, and then when he's going off with Dracula, and there's a lot.
And his abilities change too. You know, the idea that sometimes he can control it, sometimes he can't control it. What causes it?
But it's fun.
Oh yeah, it's a great run. And this was one that I was pleased to pick up. It's a pretty decent copy of this one. It was one of the last books I picked up in the run because I was collecting uphill, as they say, on this run. But now, like every book in the run is a $20 book in poor condition. So very glad I completed this when I did.
And what sucks is most Bronze Age books are going that way now. Ones like there's whole collections I completed for like 50 cents a book in near mint shape, and now they're $8 to $12 books. I'm like, why? Just because it's Bronze Age?
Yeah, I mean, basically, yes. I mean, I think with age and condition is gonna come the more rarity. The higher grades are harder and harder to find every year. Every year someone leaves it raw.
And the nostalgia has people who have the nostalgia for that time have money.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. That's
whatever home Jackson's in, they'll just let those people wander everywhere, huh?
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Well, actually, he was at the nursing home's parking lot leeching off the Wi-Fi, and they saw him wandering around with his phone, so they just took him in, gave him a bowl of soup, and let him stay. So very
Shady Acres retirement home.
The old Shady Acres.
Hey, Mr. Roykirk, they must have some good drugs there too, man. Good, look for that little cup with the little pills in it, man. They're awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Takes them with Jello shots. All right. Next up, going by books. I appreciate Otaku. Back when I was collecting kind of books I was more familiar with, right? Stuff that I remember from my childhood. I started on a Batman Adventures run. So I picked up, I completed that run.
That's nice.
There we go.
And I got my Batman Adventures number 12. Actually, through a comic community member, a guy knew I was after it because he was watching my haul videos, watching me collect these runs and focusing on this run in particular. And he reached out and he said, "Hey, I know a guy that's looking to sell one of those." And I was like, how much? And at the time, it wasn't a bad price, but it wasn't like the cheapest. I mean, so a couple $100 basically, and no more. So I was like, yeah, we talked a little bit. And also I got other books with it. And so to help me complete the run, and then, cleaned it, pressed it, sent it in, 9/8 newsstand all day.
Now, are you a Harley Quinn fan or just a fan of that series and that in like the cartoon?
Yeah, to me, this is similar to the Werewolf by Night, first appearance of Moon Knight, but I didn't get that because it was a Moon Knight book. I got it because it was a Werewolf by Night book.
Right.
Right. And at the time I was trying to collect every appearance of Werewolf by Night, which I did not collect them all because some of them are just so obscure and terrible. I stopped. I said, this is maddening. I'm going to have 30 books I don't care about just to be able to say I had them all, Yeah. So similarly, I was collecting the Batman Adventures, series. And so a necessary evil was to collect the first Harley Quinn.
Right.
And so at that point, which I enjoyed Harley Quinn in the series, but I'm not as much a fan of her modern take. Right.
Right.
So there you go. Batman Adventures.
That is a beauty.
Yeah. A booty if I ever saw one. And I've seen them. All right. Next up, here's a modified run that I was collecting. So this represents my Captain America run from issue 100 to 113 or so, the end of the Steranko run. Okay. So Kirby and Steranko.
Yeah. One of my
is what I was after here. So, and I finally finished that run this past year by collecting issue 100. So finally finished that.
And that's such a great cover. It's just,
isn't it? Yeah, it is.
Well, this whole run is, I've been talking about it on my channel because I've been doing 100 through 126 all in high grade. And the overwhelming majority of these books, you can pick up 9.0s and 9.2s for $100 to $140. Mm-hmm. So it's not like it's an expensive, and matter of fact, it's criminally undervalued for Silver Age books. Yeah. You can get them for that price and that grade. Yeah,
I would agree. I did not collect high grade for the in-between issues, but the ones I cared most about, I did. So, and definitely the Steranko run, and I think I'm going to extend it out to 114, 115. So maybe this run isn't finished yet.
Might as well get Sam Wilson. Come on.
Why not?
That's what everybody does. They go all the way to Sam Wilson, but I'm not, it doesn't matter to me. Right. So that one doesn't mean much to me, but the 14 and 15, I feel like I need those. And who knows, maybe I'll go all the way up, right up Main Street on Falcon and then and collect them all someday. So
right, and
there
that,
you go.
and that
109.
cover design I always like because that cover design just like screams nostalgia.
Yeah.
With the newspaper.
Like just the newspaper or whatever you see with a flag behind them, but something like that, it just screams of a period.
It does.
Yeah, I think this one's like the second time in 5 months that they tell his origin.
Yeah, their origin retold so many times. I just absolutely love it.
Bub knows
All right.
about people screaming. So
Frog,
anyway,
I'm going to say it was a
he has
small
chloroform.
cat. All right, another modified run that I collected was I was going for all the Daredevil, the early Daredevils again, including Kirby and Wally Wood. So stopping at the end of the Wally Wood run, which I think is like issue 11 or 12 or so. And then there's an annual that reprints some of it. But so here is my Daredevil one.
Nice.
I also collected all the original yellow suit appearances.
Nice.
So that brings me into, was it ASM 16 or so?
That presents amazing for a 1-0.
yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Holy crap, man. That cover looks all intact there. That's amazing.
Well, this isn't my storybook, but so technically it looks
You can't
pretty
tell us.
rough in the back.
Oh, yeah.
As you can see. But this book actually has a married cover and a married back cover. So the back cover, not only is the back cover not to this front cover, but this back cover is to a completely different book. And I researched to find what books came out at the exact same time with not only the same back cover, but the same inside of the back cover. That way you could not distinguish between them. Yeah, now, my goal was not to trick CGC. My goal was just to have for myself. I fully expected this to be purple. It should be purple. I fully expected it to come back purple, and instead they missed it. I did too good a job marrying it up, and it came back blue.
First time I've ever seen CGC make a mistake.
Yeah.
Stick around. I got a few.
Yeah.
We can do a whole nother 10-1-1 on that. So.
I love too how like in some books, Bob, like I have a couple here. Like I'll have multiple copies of one book slab. On one book, they'll state a first appearance in it. On the same exact book, they'll have nothing stating anything on it. I'm like, well, why would you say first appearance here and leave it off on the other one?
Yep. But people consider having CGC slabs, as basically having stock in the company. So once you get over a certain number, they feel fully vested in the company, and in the area, a disparaging word will be spoken.
Oh, wow. It must be a lot because I haven't gotten to that point yet.
Yeah. You're on your way.
Jackson's already
reporting. There's a rat line out there to call 1-800.
Somebody pull the rope and can out of his window so he can't call CGC.
Still using the rotaries. He's got to go find one first.
I think it's
operator. Give me 694.
I think it's cards or delivering.
Pensacola 694, please.
Right, you can already see him on the switchboard.
All right, this next one is a. You guys knew I was going to bring out some girly girl books, so we're going to start into those are the books that I have more or less completed the runs of. Maybe there's a couple of things here and there I'm going to add to them, but those are all completed runs and modified runs. But next up, we have a run I'm still actively hunting, and it's a good transition to others. But here's Tomb Raider number 33.
Oh, nice.
So I'm collecting an entire Tomb Raider run.
Look at those guns. Oh, sorry, one gun.
Yeah.
Well, also it's known as the infamous, what do you call that? Gun barrel cover.
The Adam Hughes covers on that run, even the tan covers. So many great covers in that run. And that run is a great read. Those 50 issues are so good.
It's fantastic. It's a nice tight run, as you can see here.
Right.
Also, the other issue with the other thing is that so I completed the run. I have all 50 of this book. However, I'm going after
copies of that book?
Phenomenal. Yes, of just this book. I have 50 issues of this book. Yes. I line my bathroom walls with it.
I bet you do.
Decoupage made by me. So what happened was I completed the run, got all 50, and then I never stopped hunting them, right? Because you see, and I'm like, well, maybe I'll just upgrade a few. And I kept coming across all these variants. So this run has an enormous amount of variants. Image,
it's almost
top
impossible to get them all.
Well, we'll see. I'm working on them. I'm working on it. So this is a run I'm working on, every variant. Now, I'm not going for anything that has the same art, because there's some that'll just have like a silver trade dress or a foil trade dress. I could care less about that. But if it has different art or a different, cover, basically, then I'm after collecting it. And there's a lot of convention exclusives that came out for this. So it's been very difficult. But I have, out of a 50 run, I think I have like 130 issues already. And there's originally just 50 of them. So it's pretty ridiculous. And I'm down every now and then, like about once a year, I'll find a book I didn't know existed. But other than that, I think I'm close. I'm somewhere around 20 or so issues away from having every unique covered variant. So there you go.
Are you going for the Journeys run too?
I have the Journeys run.
Okay.
I have several of the other runs, but this is the only one that I'm trying to get all the
weird variants.
I'll have to get some of the Journeys because I don't know. I probably won't slab this entire run because that would get just ridiculous. Yeah, but yeah.
They put a compendium out of that run too, which I have here. Even the compendium is like double the price of when it came out, and it keeps going up. And but it's a run I'll read like every 3-4 years. It's really good.
It's fantastically done.
Yes.
Andy Park just killed it on this book. Of course, he went on to be the chief designer of all the MCU costumes. So all the costumes in the MCU are designed by Andy Park. He does the costume design. So he kind of blends the reality and the superhero to make, what you see in the MCU. So now, only the good ones. The bad ones, he didn't do those.
If they revive this series, besides Adam Hughes, obviously, and Park and stuff, what's a modern artist you'd like to see draw? Like a J. Scott Campbell or someone that's out there now? Like, who would you like to see?
Talking about Laura Croft?
Yeah.
Well, I like everybody draw. Here's one Tricky Trapster did of Instagram fame and some YouTube acclaim as well. There's a record with Angelina Jolie on it. So I'm a pretty big Tomb Raider fan as it comes to the imagery. And I have to say, it's probably my number one. Like in my mind, I'm like, that's if I ever on the spot and someone's like, hey, I'm going to do a commission for you. Who do you want? The first thing pops into my head is going to be Tomb Raider. And then we'll see how it goes. But this one by Tricky Trapster is absolutely one of my favorite original art pieces that I own. And because he just offered me a commission, I was buying another book. I was buying a finished piece of art. And he said, hey, I'll do you a quick commission. Who do you want? And I froze and I said, Tomb Raider. And I couldn't be more happy with it. So it's just absolutely fantastic.
And I'm one of those guys, I've played that series since the original game.
Oh, yeah.
I got the 20-year anniversary, the history book of it, all sorts of weird stuff.
I got the remastered edition that just came out of the first 3 titles of that game. Now, I have to say I don't care too much for the new games. The Survivor type Tomb Raider stuff. I don't get into that. If she's not wielding 2 big guns, then I'm out. A bow and arrow. What's going on?
I did like
here?
the Alicia Vikander series too, but the Angelina Jolie ones were good too.
Yeah, they're pretty good. I did like the movie. And I like the Angelina Jolie movies too.
So you played the video game as well?
Yeah, I did. I played them, and it's not anymore as much.
And I remember sometimes Bubs spending an hour trying to make a jump, especially I think Tomb Raider 3, that one canyon jump, which took forever. Like you had to have it just exactly right.
It's a ridiculously hard game, original set of games. And I played all the games until they went into the Survivor type. And I tried to play those. I couldn't really get into them. But other than that, they're great stuff. I really
Jackson's still playing paddleball.
Jeez.
Yeah, he's got to plug it up to his TV and put the little AB switch on. And change the channel 3.
I've got that in the garage. That's why I still keep a Magnavox mono TV so I can plug my 2600 in and play Yar's Revenge.
Interesting. I love Yar's Revenge. That's one of my favorite Atari games. I used to play it on Atari.
Yeah.
That's the sound of Yar's Revenge, everyone. All right.
But it is good to meet another Lara Croft fan because I don't run across them very often.
Well, I was going to do a series, a quick, homage series, if you will, to her. I'll include you in that. I've got another guy lined up as well. But he's not as entertaining as you are, but he has more hair. So I think you guys might balance out a little bit. And
I can grow the hair. I just choose not to.
I understand. All right. Next up, full on into runs we are currently collecting. We're going all the way back to the golden age. Here is Dick Tracy.
Oh, yeah.
This is a somewhat modified run. So my goal in this is to collect all of the Harvey issues of Dick Tracy up until the Comics Code. So basically the golden age Harvey. So prior to Harvey, Dell had the title, and I pick those up if I see them cheaply on occasion, but this is what, don't I know it? If losing it was a contest, I'd join just in case. So this is one of my favorite covers in the Dick Tracy run for Harvey.
Yeah, that's a crazy fire cover. Holy cow!
Oh yeah, his head's on fire and everything. It's just awesome.
Well, look
and
at
then
her.
They show you
it.
Here's how it happened with all the TikTok and the radio clock and the. It's just so ridiculous. Dynamite on a lever. Good stuff. So I pick these up at every convention pretty much. I always find at least one or two books. I try to stay under who doesn't? I try in that order. I try to stay under $15 an issue for these. Doesn't always work out, but if it's one I really like, I'll pay up for it. But if it's just trying to make a good reader run of all these, and most of these covers in the Harvey run, although they are kind of credited otherwise, they're actually Joe Simon covers. So that's a neat little fact about these. So if you're a big Simon collector, then there you go.
Well, that's one of the best Dick Tracy covers, I think, and it's just brutal. Some of the artwork is just brutal on it.
Right.
I think IDW did a series of really nice format hardcover reprints of the dailies and the Sunday strips, and I have about 10 of those. But I think they were up to like 27, 28 volumes. Really nice reprints of Dick Tracy. Yeah.
Mad Cave is doing one this week. It comes out tomorrow. Actually, the cover looks pretty good too.
Yes. Yeah, they're starting off a new run. The only thing that concerns me about that run is that they're advertising it as this isn't your father's Dick Tracy or something. And I'm like, that's me. That's my Dick Tracy. What are you doing?
They update the technology a little bit, huh?
Yeah.
And now,
all right.
Now that property's revived again, there's a new #1 this week. A quick shout out. If you guys aren't following Gabby on Instagram, she's making her 10-1-1 debut on May 7th. So check her out. A good collector, lots of great books. So
nice.
You'll never be the same, Gabby. After getting the Gary B treatment, you'll never be the same.
Yeah, you'll be filled with shame and regret, but
absolutely, as we all will be in therapy tomorrow.
Walking home with your head slung down low
and a pair of panties wadded up in your
I'll probably still be wearing this clothes tomorrow.
Carrying your shoes in your hand.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Next up, we got another Golden Age book here. We're going to show off I can't believe I own this book. I picked it up at Collector Summit in Dallas this year, which was a fantastic show. I recommend none of you go so I can buy all the books. So I was picking up Super Duck, the Cockeyed Wonder. Okay, a little Golden Age silliness, MLJ Enterprises. And I was fortunate enough to find the #1 issue, which is the most pricey.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
So this is Super Duck #1. And it's got a nice Hitler and Tojo there.
That is fantastic.
And it's one of the only appearances of Super Duck in the Super Duck costume.
Like, I've never even seen this book.
Yeah. So Super Duck, the Cockeyed Wonder, it transitions to Archie later in the title, but the Archie Comics group, but still Super Duck, the Cockeyed Wonder. And they also lose the Cockeyed Wonder somewhere along the line. They stop calling him that. So as my modified run,
Wonder, or
yeah,
Now,
as I'm part of my
looking at this
modified run,
cover,
They said it went. He got ducked.
looking at this cover though makes me think that maybe Todd McFarlane was a fan of this and copied this for his ASM 300.
you never know.
There we go.
in fact, all those books are now officially homages to this
Yeah.
number one
Right?
Cockeyed Wonder.
ASM 300, baby.
There you go. Brad just said it. Yep.
Yeah. So this book is tough to get because it crosses over into the war books. A lot of people collect Hitler covers and Tojo covers and World War covers. So it's tough to get this book, to pry it out of other people's hands. I honestly thought I would never own it. I'd only seen it once on Instagram. The only time I'd ever known of anyone to own this book at all. I'd only seen it once on Instagram, and then that turned out to be the person I bought it from in Dallas. So still only seen this book. I've seen it twice, once in digital form, once in real life, and it was the same.
And
copy.
that presents so well.
Yeah, well, I'm holding it further away from the camera. But yeah.
What year was that again, Bob?
Distance hides.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. It's pretty rough copy, but I've never seen worse. And I've never seen.
Yeah, I'm saying relative to the age of it, though.
Oh yeah.
Is it complete?
You got, when you're saying how things present, you got to the age that the book is.
It's the best copy Bubs has ever held.
That's right. Absolutely.
Are you going to
there
grade
you go.
that
Very
one?
pleased to have this book. I might get it slabbed just because of the value of it, but I'm not quite sure because I do generally try and keep reader runs for all this stuff. So, and I've got a bunch more issues of the Cockeyed Wonder, and I stop at Super Duck when they take the Cockeyed Wonder off the trade dress. That's when I'm out. I'm out. I cannot follow you down this Cockeyed Wonderless trail any longer.
Got to draw a line in the sand somewhere.
I'm drawing the line at Cockeyed. That's where I draw the line. All right. Next up, probably the run that most people would know me as a collector of. I've only known of two people who had a complete run personally, right? And neither one of them currently do. Now I know that on the CGC census, or registry rather, there are a few others that have a complete run, but don't know who those people are. Never heard of them, and I'm pretty sure they're bots like Las Cruces. But here,
nice.
Wow,
number 61, which I chose to show. I have lots of them slabbed because I'm after a registry run on this. So if you go to CGC, I'm trying to crack the top 30 collectors of this book, which is difficult with a low grade run because with higher grade books, you get higher points on the registry. So there's some people that are higher than me and have just a few. So I selected this book because I knew Rob had a copy in a higher grade, but I swear mine presents better than his. I think my 1.0 has better color and no blemishes on it anywhere. I think my 1.0 is better than his 2.0.
Mine is really dirty.
That is
2.5, yeah.
1.0.
Clean your act up, Rob, if you're going to be flashing everybody.
Mine's not only dirty, but it's also got a chunk missing over here.
Your copy is cockeyed, Rob, I tell you.
Yes, and I draw the line. Cockeyed.
It's a cockeyed wonder.
There must be something else wrong with yours there, Bubs. If yours got it only a 1, you got yours got a spine split.
No, it's perfectly intact, and look at the back is even clean as clean gets. Jesus. One little chip up here.
Why is it only a 1
on that corner?
I don't know.
Inside
and I've postulated that if I opened this book, it would be dust. I don't know because there's no notes on it, of course, because why would they bother, right? But it's like
they don't make mistakes.
I'm not sending it back in for a regrade or anything because I'm worried that if you open this book, it may just crumble in your finger. You know,
here, make me big for a second. I'll show you what he's talking about. How mine is.
Yeah, Rob wants to be made big.
I'm going to show you what he's talking about. Because like he's talking about, like he said, mine's got like the damage here. That's on there, but on the back, I mean, you can see how white his was compared to mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
And
got
don't
better
you even have writing on yours? Isn't yours? Does yours have writing on it somewhere?
No, there's no writing on. Well, there's a stamp.
Yeah,
but they don't count for that.
No, what's under the P?
Oh, you mean up here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, is it a pedigree?
That's somebody's
Doodle
initials. Yeah, it's an LAB or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah,
Writing
that's a
on cover.
2.5, and this is a 1.0. Isn't that crazy?
And then there's a tear here.
Oh my gosh, I don't have a single chip or tear anywhere in the front.
Well,
It's a heartbreaker. It's a heartbreaker.
Lucy
But,
Larry.
it is what it is.
My friend Larry Allen Burns used to have a copy of that book.
Did you? Did he? Is he around?
LAB were his initials he went by.
Yeah, we got it. We got it.
All right, just a second.
So there you go. So
this is
Planet
on my
Comics.
stack to get redone, get cleaned, and
Take mine with it, will you?
So you're not gonna
You
try.
said you had a full run of that, Bub?
I'm working on a complete run.
Okay, how many issues did that go for?
I want to say 73.
Nice.
Ish.
And I have somewhere around 45, 46 of them.
Oh, okay.
I'm over halfway done, and I have most of the non-rivet covers because there's the trade dress changes around issue 23 or so, and all those are considered the rivet covers. And those people, when they sell off their collection, those are the ones they keep. So they're harder and harder to find all the time, but I'm still after them. And in the end, this will hopefully be, if I ever finish this collection and this run, then I may stop collecting comics completely.
Yeah.
It was determined that was a lie.
That's what I tell the wife. Yeah. Every time I buy one, that's what I tell my wife. I want more book to stop in collecting.
And then it's jungle action time.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite cover artist in that series?
All right. Next up is another run that I'm.
Yeah, who's your favorite cover artist for that series?
It's probably a tie between Joe Doolin and Maurice Whitman. Now, that's cheating a little bit because earlier on the run, there's some Lou finds that are really fantastic. I don't have those. So my favorite of the ones that I've collected thus far are going to be Joe Doolin for the average cover, if you will. He did a lot of jungle work as well. And Maurice Whitman, who also did, because it's a Fiction House book. So if you go to any of the Fiction House books, you'll find a lot of Maurice Whitman and Joe Doolin work. So that's why it's probably my favorite publisher.
Are you interested in any of the Planet Stories pulps? Or
the pulps? I do have a few. Yeah, I just picked up one a month ago. I do have a few of the Planet Story pulps. And what's interesting is that often they will homage, like for instance, this book here, which I know Rob left because he's going to go press his copy. But this issue here is actually an homage of an earlier issue of Planet Comics, which is an homage of a Planet Stories pulp.
Mine actually says that in the comments. It says that it's an homage to.
Mine doesn't.
Planet Comics 7 cover homage.
Jackson,
yeah,
can
mine
you
doesn't say
the CGC as well?
Report.
Yeah, mine doesn't say. Yeah, I think Gary's working on a report on that.
Yeah, Jackson's working hard on that.
He's good. You got Rob to stand up 3 times in one episode.
Well, I kept turning off his camera because he forgot to put on pants. Forgot to put on pants.
It's the best way to make sure I stay awake is having.
That's what I was going to say because he hasn't nodded off. He's actually got up out of his seat.
Right.
All right. Well, I'll try and keep things moving so that Rob can get to his next episode of Murder, She Wrote. Here we have
Matlock, buddy.
Matlock, and then you got to go to
bed. We have a run that I'm really trying hard to collect and finish, maybe even this year. It's going to be tough, but it's a fairly short run, so maybe I can do it. It's Strange Worlds from Avon, which is one of my favorite publishers to try to find, if that makes sense, because it's horribly difficult to get well-presenting Avon books. The actual paper used isn't very good. The color strike is often poor, and they're just beat all to heck. But this book here I picked up also at the Collector Summit in Dallas.
Now that cover I've seen a bunch, and that cover is just absolutely gorgeous. I think it's just one of those great historic covers.
It's a classic.
It's so beautiful.
That's cool.
And it also represents some subsets of things that I collect. Wally Wood, one of my favorite artists. Also sci-fi, bubble helmets, and girls in tubes. So those are high on my collection list.
Strategically placed rings.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I like to see that band of metal.
For more women in
right
tubes,
where
Bub's basement.
It
I'm always
I'll lower a
enamored
bucket with some lotion here in a minute. Yeah.
I'm always enamored when everybody on the pictures has to have a bubble helmet or some other contained device, except for one person doesn't need anything to breathe. And it's like, that's fabulous.
That's the alien. That's the home world. So you can always tell who's invading who by who's wearing the bubble helmet, right?
That's right.
So there you go. But I absolutely love this book, and I'm trying for a run of Strange Worlds. It has not been easy. There's a couple of less expensive issues, but they're coincidentally the ones that I don't like as well, right? The ones that aren't as beautiful. And so I'm also on the registry hunt with this one. It's a much less competitive registry than the Planet Comics is, thankfully. And this, nobody was even counting, is my 11th book. So here's my story.
I have it written down.
Do you? Look at you.
Oh, yeah.
Wait a minute. I have it written down too. Hold on. Let me just.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't have enough toilet paper.
Hey, Bub, Gary has it written down for me.
Yeah, really. We're going to put them in the cone of silence there, Jackson.
What?
Nice reference.
Right this way,
leave?
Chief.
No, I just assumed you were a professional, so you didn't need me to state that what's your 11th book. Now, when Bill's on, I'll have a sign that says it's your 11th
He's
book.
a professional, all right.
Absolutely. You're going to be holding up 10 fingers and whatever else you can find. Yeah. All right. So here's a story on this book. I picked this up at Collector Summit in Dallas, and I bought it. It was already slabbed. I picked it up from my good buddy Jared, Spider Comics.
Spider Planet.
And he you can find him on Instagram. He's not a YouTube guy, but he's one of the people I mentioned that had a complete run of Planet Comics at one time. No longer does. He sold them off. Some of them to me. So he and I have been getting to know each other and dealing, buying books. I don't think he bought anything from me, but I buy plenty of books from him over the years. So it was a real pleasure to meet him in person in Dallas this past November. Had a great time. He had this book, which he had brought with him to try and, hawk to one of the dealers, because you guys don't even know. Some of you may know. I don't know how much in the Golden Age foray you get. I know Rob does for sure. But the Golden Age collectors, it's a whole different type of group of people. Like they have a different mentality about buying books, about collecting books, about what they consider to be a PC book versus basically almost all of them that I have met. They buy a book, they love the book, they cherish the book, they take pictures of the book, they tell everybody how much they've always wanted this book, and it's for sale in about a month. That's to fund their next obsession. So they're almost like making one night stands out of these books. It's really wild. But this was a book that he was very proud to own, and then very, very proud to have available for sale or trade. I made a deal with him. My wife helped negotiate. We were all at the table together. She didn't really do much, but she had given him a action figure. She had traded. We also had action figures. We traded action figures, and her being willing to trade with him garnered some good favor. I got a little bit more off the book. Everything is going all Bubsy's way. I put it in my bag. I'm packing it around. I brought it back the next day. I looked at it, about laid down with it in the hotel. And then I brought it back the next day, just in case there were other people. I wanted to show that I had got this book, because a lot of that was going on. People were just sitting at tables and showing all the books they had picked up. So I brought this book back to show everybody, because I picked it up the last 5 minutes of the day before. Right. So I just wanted to show it off. And a guy's like, hey, he was sitting at the table. I don't even know the guy's name. Nice fella. Another fella collector, of course. And we're sitting at the table, and he's like, hey, well, what did you get? I'm like, oh, I can't wait to show you. And I pull it out, and the entire bottom corner was crumbled. It was completely cracked and busted. I don't know how it happened. I'm sure it was my fault. I had it inside of a padded bag, and I just must have had the corner out just so. and whacked it against something. It was very high security at this convention. It had a double door system with, metal detectors and everything, and, infrared scans to make sure nobody was stealing or anything like that. So it was pretty wild.
You insisted on a strip search too, didn't you, sir?
I requested one out of safety. I wanted to make sure everyone was comfortable with me being there. So yeah,
and they were until the search.
Absolutely, one, please. Yeah. So yeah, it was completely cracked and destroyed. The book was fine, but the case was just mangled out of the bottom. Had pieces of it. I was scooping pieces of the case out of my bag.
Oh man, that sucks.
I happened to be directly across. We were sitting at one table, like a community table, and right across 10 feet away was CGC. They had a table set up. They were giving us a run through of how they're going to be grading pulps, which now they grade pulps. But at the time, they had not started yet. So they were showing us how they intended to grade pulps. And they also had a submission, you could submit books. So I sent it in for reholder. So it never got to come back on the plane with me. I gave it directly to them, wasted some of my discount, paid another $50 to get this thing reholdered and sent back to me. But it was worth it. And it looks great. And it's even better. And the case had a few scuffs on it already when I bought it. So now it's a nice pristine case. Hey, it's a nice pristine case. And I just absolutely love it.
And Chris is here now. So what's the right side of that label say?
It says CGC. It has a little reflective. See that? A little reflective. It says classic cover. It's a classic cover.
So many incredible covers in that run.
Yeah, I know. They're all classiques.
Gosh.
All right. Now for my 11th book, for my 12th book, how many books? For my 12th book, again, getting it in under an hour. We got this. This is just a speculation, right? This is supposed to be my spec.
Correct.
Book. So the quick and easy one is that I need to say this first, that I'm not trying to have people profit off the demise of artists. Like, that's not what I'm trying to do. However, I do think that there are a number of artists who are naturally close to no longer being with us. Just naturally close. I don't have any inside track on anyone's blood pressure medicine or anything like that. It's just a natural thing that people get to a certain age and they are more likely to pass. So,
although Bubs was seen recently at the con, and called to a few of the artists going, it'd be an awful shame if something were to happen,
Yeah.
Exactly.
I did. They signed my book and also a non-disclosure agreement. I don't know how you heard about this, but so one of my favorite artists, whom I fear may not be with us that long, right? I'm talking probably less than, I won't even put a number on it, but every time I see him, I'm glad to see him, is Jim Steranko. Now, I got to see him just about a month ago at my local convention. And he's just a great guy. And I really enjoy meeting with him and getting to know him over the years, having a little conversation, which, again, much like Jim Balin, he'll talk to anybody. Like that's just what he does. But I really have enjoyed it. I got to talk to him and this time, I usually there's a lot of banter because he's a pretty witty guy, even still. But this time I just took a moment to tell him how much I appreciated his work and the influence he's had on the industry, and how much I really, really was glad that he was still coming around to conventions and sharing stories with everybody. And he really was quite sincere and thanked me for being a fan, and basically said, thank you for remembering me. And I want people to remember me. I was like, we will. Right. And my wife's freaking bawling in the background. I'm like, geez, give me a break. And she's just crying. I'm like, oh God. But he's a super sweet guy. And that's funny. So here's my Hulk king size annual Steranko. And this one's in a PGX. PGX tried to kill this book, but I didn't let him. But anyway, I have a bunch of books like this in PGX and CBCS that are verified books. And, if CGC ever finishes getting their act together and starts that, then they'll probably all get sent in there for reholder and all that good stuff. So but there you go. Just if you guys get a chance to see Steranko. So my spec is not just for Jim Steranko, but any book by any artist. Oh, any of your favorite artists who you've always wanted to meet potentially, or who are out there that you really appreciate and are still with us, especially if they were most active in the Silver Age or older, even
if they're collecting Social Security.
Yeah, pretty much. Anybody getting into the eights, if one of your favorite creators is an octogenarian, then I implore you to go out there, meet them for yourself, pick up whatever key books they have that you don't have yet, and maybe even get them signed and have a nice piece of history that you'll never want to let go. Yeah.
See, I feel that way about Roy Thomas. That's why I got a few of his signatures like in the last year. I'm like, man, Roy Thomas was my childhood reading growing up.
Yep.
That's how it should be. And a lot of these creators, they say you shouldn't meet your heroes and stuff like that, but I've had more good experiences than bad. So, and the ones that I liked the most were also happened to be the nicest people. So I encourage you, go to a convention, shake the hand of an old artist or an old writer or an old publisher, anybody you got, and just get to know your heroes. So there you go. That's my spec.
Excellent.
That's a good one.
Nice.
Yeah, Raul stopping in to throw a little shade your guys' way.
I like to see him make a video more than once every 3 years.
Who, Hialeah?
Yeah, bro.
He's a very busy man.
Apparently, yeah.
Retirement is kicking his ass.
I
have a quick question for you, Bub. If you had an opportunity to go back in time and meet Wally Wood, what would you say to him?
Oh, man.
That's a tough one. First, I would tell him how much I enjoyed his work and appreciated him. And although times were different then, I'd probably encourage him to get some help. Wally Wood he had a lot of health issues. He ended up taking his own life.
Yeah,
and we've lost a few great artists and creators that way. And I would probably encourage him. I would tell him how much I loved his work. I'd ask him for a commission for sure. And then on the day that I went to pick up the commission, I'd tell him, there's no shame in getting any help. In our modern day, we know that. It's a much more prevalent. Mental health is on everybody's mind.
And can you sign 3,000 items?
Yeah. Hey, could you sign all of this? Yeah. But that'd probably be what I would tell him. And I just want to hear some stories. And, Steranko talks about him fondly. I was wearing a shirt with Wally Wood on it when I went to see Steranko one time. And he talked about how much he absolutely loved him and just what an amazing person he was and how he missed him every day. So just to tell him Jim Steranko from my time, Jim Steranko's pushing 95 years old, which he's not, but he won't know. Pushing 95 years old. And he tells me he misses you every day. So get some help.
Meanwhile, at Heroes, we're going to find Steranko beating the crap out of Bubs. Going, you think I'm 95? How does that feel?
Telling everybody I'm going to die and get their signatures? Why is my damn line so long?
My arm is sore. God damn it. That son of a bitch.
But that is the great thing, though, about meeting some of the creators live. It's just hearing the behind-the-scenes stories they tell you is always so much fun.
Yes. Yep.
And just their recollection of certain time periods, like, just when you hear them like, oh no, you don't understand this book was thrown together because of this and we barely got it out. And just to hear some of the stuff that happened when you're just reading it, you think that everything's running like clockwork and there's always like this mad scramble behind the scenes to get something completed.
Yep.
Especially some of your favorite stuff, which you would not have assumed was rushed.
Right.
Or redrawn or all the stuff that goes along with it,
Well, even that cover you just showed has a great history with it, with Marie Severin and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
he still loves it, and he still, it's one of his favorite books. He says so, and then Strank will tell you a lot of stories. Pretty much every book you bring up to him, he's got a story to tell about it.
So you've got that signature and the restraining order signature from him as well. Is that correct, sir?
I do. And I've got tons of, I've got the original Foom poster signed by Stranko as well.
Nice.
And when he signed that several years back, he said, I asked him, I said, how many of these have you signed? He said, just a handful. He said, you don't see this one. And I can't say that I've signed many of these at all, ever.
Excellent.
So I was like, well, that's cool. And then the next time I saw him, he had 2 on his table for sale. And I said, you son of a bitch. That's what happened. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? He was, he's like, Bub can't have the only thing. He was not going to corner the market. But if he runs across,
he went out.
Like I've never run across a Foom book in the wild myself. They're hard to find.
Yeah, they are.
And when you look online, forget it. You're going to pay through the nose for them.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like I always have my eyes out for a deal on one if I come across one. But I've never, no matter where I've gone, I've never seen a Foom book in the wild.
I think we got a couple minutes. One of my favorite wild find stories is one that Bub had at this huge garage sale. It's like it goes on for miles, Bub. Can you tell everyone that the book that you found in that?
Yeah, I guess so. 127 yard sale, which is coming up again this August. It's the first weekend in August. And they do, it's just the highway 127, right? State road, if you will. Highway goes up and everybody just sets their crap out along the road. And there'd be large stretches of land that are bought or rented out, and leased to tables and people. So it's just a huge yard sale that spans all the way. I think it's like 4 states. Goes down this road for 4 states, and it runs right through my town. So this town is crazy during that. It's like 4 days of a yard sale. And I was on that yard sale and I came across I don't know how readily I have it, but as far as me being able to spell it, Betty and me?
Yes.
Reaching.
Came across this book.
Reaching. There we go.
For just a couple of bucks.
Wow.
And it was just in amongst a random bunch of Archie books. Like it was nothing, like it was just some more Archie junk. And I picked this book up. It's not in terrible condition considering, right? Because I've seen a lot of them in much worse condition than this. But
yeah, that's it.
And I didn't even have to beat off 3 guys to get it. Actually, it was a little old lady. I guess I had to beat them. I didn't have to beat them off. When the opportunity arises,
Dick and Bub, Bub and Dick.
Sometimes a guy's got to do what a man's got to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
For his comic book,
beneath the trees. Bub's on his
knees.
Any other requests there, Billiard?
I thought that'd be fun to share that one.
That's a good one.
Nice. All right. Well, Bub, great books, man. Always a pleasure. We're not going to wait 2 years to get you back again. We'll get you on before that.
Maybe 3.
Sounds good. That sounds good. Yeah, wait 3 years.
But awesome book, sir. Thoroughly enjoyed. Love seeing the stuff in your collection. I like that you brought something different than what I expected. I thought it was all going to be like Femme Fatale cover. So nice to see little bit of different things in there, especially the old sci-fi. Absolutely love it. But we're going to do like we normally do. We're going to go around the horn here. Everyone's going to say what they got coming up. And on Tuesdays, we always start that off with Rob. Rob, what's coming up for you?
Well, thank you, Gary. Thursdays, this Thursday, I'm going to have a video dropping. Comic Vet had a $100 mystery box. We'll open that up. And then Saturday is for people like the Great Legend Show who are big fans of slabs. We have only slabs. And this week we have Dave from Still Only 35 Cents waking up at dark 30 in the morning, Sunday morning, Australia time to appear at our 2:30 p.m. Eastern time show. So that'll be a fun show.
Sounds good.
Nice.
Thanks, Gary.
No problem. And Bill, what's going on for you, sir?
Not much. I think I have Cover Slingers on Saturday on the Gray Man's channel. And at some point within the next couple of weeks, I'm just getting lazy. I'll have my first of the top 100 pre-code jungle comics. I'll have the first video out on that.
Oh, and I know you have another date coming up here on the 30th.
Oh, yes. I will be back on this show as a guest on the 10-1-1.
Oh, so Bub's going to be in the other seat. There you go.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I'm going to send Bub the link so he can be in in the ball busting seat.
You deserve
it. All right. Steve, what's coming up for you, sir?
I got the Voices Choices tomorrow night, probably some kind of unboxing on the weekend. And I'm going to do an inaugural live coming soon that I'm working on to talk about the discussion on what your spouse or your significant other is going to do with your collection upon your untimely demise.
Ooh, I want to be in on that. Pencil me in for a future date. If the series takes off and people enjoy it. If it's a stinker, leave me off.
Okay.
If it turns out to be popular, I want in on that.
Yeah, well, it'll probably take off until you're on it, sir.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. I appreciate that. If anything I can do to help, the old algorithm. Yeah.
Well, before we get to Bub, coming up for me, we of course have in 2 nights' time on Thursday night we have John's Comics with Kids, and he's going to do I think his third the 10-1-1. We'll have him on, and John's a great dude in the community, always a blast. And then of course we're ending the month on a low note with Comic Mag Musings.
True, very true.
There's that toilet flushing again.
Yeah, can't argue with that.
Bill, he paid me to say that, so I mean I couldn't refuse the money, sir. And then we got a different version of the show coming on May 2nd when Milt's coming on for a board game edition of the 10-1-1, where he's bringing on old classic board games. So we're gonna have a little bit of fun, changing up the show a little bit. And Bob, what's coming up for you, sir?
Well, that gives me a great idea to do a little series on my. I collect monopolies, so I have a monopoly collection, and I have very strict rules for it, as I do for everything that I collect. So that would be an interesting video. But other than that, comic halls. I have a convention that I'll be doing. Actually, tomorrow I'll be on the Usual Suspects with not your usual suspects. I'll be on the Unusual Suspects, I think it's called. I don't even know the name of the show, but it's the one that Simple Simon does. And it's me and Russ and Tony, and we have a good time doing that. And then also next week, I don't think I usually don't get invited on Cover Slingers more than 1 week at a time, so I probably won't hear from them for another month.
Well, you win too much. I
know. I have the highest winning percentage on that, according to Roger, who stat nerds about it. But other than that, I'll just be having a bunch of haul videos, and also I'll be at a convention in a couple weeks selling some books, so that'll be fun too. So,
now, do you have your No Faces comic chat coming up anytime soon?
No, we have not disbanded it, but we've put it on dem der hiatus. Allegedly, we were supposed to be getting back to it maybe this month, but maybe next month. So we'll see how it goes.
Will DS be on it or no?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, it'll be the original cast.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. All right. So as always, I want to thank my co-hosts. It's always fun to have more than just my view on things. So thank you, Bill. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Rob. I appreciate it, guys. If you want to get your own copy of The Need, the link is in the description below, as is all of these gentlemen here. Bill, I had to add yours because I didn't want to ruin the surprise of you being on until he was on.
I looked.
I told him there was a surprise.
I went to the description and I looked to see, and I said, "Well, he didn't get anybody that would."
I did.
It's the usual group.
It wasn't Bill. It wasn't that hard to outthink him.
No, it
wasn't. Yeah, he wanted the biggest Dave Stevens fan on, Bub, and that's this guy. All right,
I'm sure he is. Yeah, It's Gary's really easy. He's it's like luring kids into a van with comics, of course.
Right?
Yeah,
that's true.
You know, the only problem with that, Bill, is you have to actually kick Bub out of the van.
Yeah,
he doesn't want to go.
Absolutely. Yeah,
but
what can I do for that 30 center?
Right. Bub, thank you so much for being a guest and coming back on the show. Always a pleasure. And we got to do it again before a couple years' time for sure.
Sounds like a plan. Thanks, Gary.
You know the meaning of that word always.
And of course, we can't do it without the chat. A great chat tonight. Jackson Roykirk putting out some great one-liners tonight. I'm glad they let him stay up late at the home, so that was really nice of them. Thank them for us, Bob. Several pills they gave you to keep you up, Jackson. We appreciate it. And but guys, thank you all so much. And as I like to end these things, we are just going to give it a thank you very much and keep it casual.